Oh boy. Another day in the coronavirus as y'all out there fornicating. Yeah, thanks for spreading the disease! No, seriously, thank you. You've just showed how, how hypocritical this country is when it comes to things like sex and dating. Because there could be airborne HIV. And Generation Z millennials would still be out there hooking up and having sex because, oh, it can't affect me because it only kills baby boomers. Yeah, you don't know anything about how diseases work. There's a 6-foot mandatory separation. We're basically in martial law right now. But you guys are all out there having sex and like holding hands and stuff. I mean, sure, it could be worse. Could be better. This brings me to the point that Christians are the most hypocritical people I've ever met. And they're the vast majority of the country. Which is disturbing because read the Bible, you know? You really should, just as a human being, as a fact, as a piece of human history. It's the most popular book ever sold or given away, which is, on the selling point, a bit contradictory to what the Bible says about money 100 times. Like, go on a dating site and tell the girls that you don't have a credit card because you have a disability that prevents you from having a lot of money. Well, even the ones that only want to date for food, which, of course, you could probably provide one meal, you know, a good meal, to date them, they'll still kind of look at you like, oh, it's not really, I haven't really been called out for having bipolar because a lot of that stuff may actually be a myth. I probably don't have rapid mood swings as much as a lot of people do, and a lot of my mood swings are based entirely in political reasons. I mean, think about it. You're poor, right? You can't afford a credit card. You try your ass off to make money over social media because, you know, mentally ill if that is a correct term, are interesting and have interesting viewpoints. I've met so many schizophrenics that were great artists and bipolars that had all these great ideas about what to do about the future that just kind of get shuffled away because of the medication and segregation away from the main points of society. Even stuff like group homes where they have curfews and take all your money. There's completely an ableist tenet to this country that is comparable to racism. Never mind the number of scientists with Asperger's syndrome that were never meant to be because they were given a pill, or the artists because they had schizophrenia, or the revolutionaries, the politicians, because they had bipolar, because a pill was shoved on them. That's why I don't take meds. I can manage it fair enough. Most of my bad behavior comes from pointing out the bad behavior of others. Like I said, I got kicked out of my apartment for reporting heroin users that were hooking up high school age girls with heroin, but they didn't do anything about the heroin users. They just bothered me because I said, you know all these women. Maybe hook me up with a friend. So I have a girl to talk to that maybe doesn't do heroin, and I won't tell on you for having the heroin. But no, I'm the one that gets kicked out of Pioneer Pathway House because I harassed them a little bit. And it wasn't even hardcore, it was just a few notes. Like, you know, you're doing heroin, I know you're doing heroin. I know your friends are doing heroin, I know your friends are doing meth. Which, you know, personally I don't care about because I'm for the legalization of all drugs. But you know, it was never, and before that it was like, hey, I got all these board games, I'll buy alcohol if you want to hang out. I was trying to make friends, and then they weren't open to the friendship for like months and months and months. It would just say wanted to party amongst their own generation or with the other drug users instead of being friends, because they know I'd ask where the women at, which is a completely normal thing for a guy to do. But no, I got in trouble. You know, there's 120 verses in the Bible against lies, deceit, gossip, rumor mills. And then you meet Christians, which are 3/4 of the country, and the internet trolls. Most of them have got to be Christian because it's most of the country. You go to a school, it amazes me when you go to college, like how much evidence you have to provide for your sources. You know, you have evidence on evidence on evidence. And it's hard. Like, man, I stayed up till like 3 a.m. some nights at 39 years old getting shit done. I ended up on the honor roll for a while. But it's just evidence on evidence. But these people, most of them are Christians, and they believe something that has no evidence behind it. Not only that, their behavior isn't what the Bible recommends. You know, you get accused sometimes as a Christian of cherry picking the Bible. And I'm an atheist, so I don't believe in hell, right? So I look at that like, you know, maybe that's a good thing. You know, maybe it's a good thing to cherry pick the Bible because there's some good shit in the Bible about like being kind and not worshiping money and not being a classist ass pig or an age phobe, because Jesus was against bigotry. I mean, he was straight up against hate. John 13:34 says love everyone. You meet Gen Z. They don't date Gen X. Oh, run pockets, old man. Right, but you're a Christian. And Christianity is against the worship of money. If you look at about 100 verses, let's go through it. 8 dozen verses. Let's go through the classism in the Bible. And also the classism that is hated. You see, like, that's it. That, like, the behavior of Christians themselves prevent me from believing in God, because they seemingly just worship money, their own age group, and a lot of softcore other stuff like homophobia and racism largely comes from the religious, even on the left wing. So it's crazy to me. The whole religion thing is basically just, oh, you know, you're Gen X, they're Gen Z women, you can't date them because that's inappropriate, they're in college, but still you harass and harass. The Bible is against 10 dozen times gossip, lies, deceit, and still you do it, you know? Christianity is doomed. Christians, hell awaits you. I don't mean to sound too brimstone and fire on you, but I've read your book. I don't believe in God, but there are things in there that you just straight up ignore. Oh, the guy's got a credit card, so now he's suddenly viable on Tinder and IRL. Now he's suddenly viable because he's got a 401k or a car, but he wasn't when he had an EBT card. Then you meet young men, most of whom are Christian. Where are the women at? Well, with them, their misogyny, their racism, but they're like left wing or right wing, you know, they never really have the hookup. Like, these guys really like me, you know, the Gen Z, but they never hook me up with women. They straight up lie about not knowing anybody most of the time. That's what I mean, Christians. You're not reading your book. And if an atheist has a point that's out to you, well, at least I don't believe in hell, because that does not sound like a good place to be. Sinners.